You're listening to Free Range Thinking.
You're listening to Free Range Thinking. My name is Jacob Cline. This episode is sponsored by artificial intelligence. Why think for ourselves when it can think for you? I think everyone knows, deep down, that AI is just a bad thing in general. I mean, you won't hear them complaining about AI when they get it to write their 10-page essay for them. I don't know, maybe the release of The Matrix got its bad rap. Anyway, this whole thing with AI started with me wanting to make a description for my first podcast episode. I couldn't think of anything inspirational at the time. I mean, I could usually think of something inspirational or like a quote, but always at the worst times. So I throw my command in the text box, and it read, "Write me a podcast description telling people that in today's episode, I'm explaining why I decided to create my podcast, make it very professional, and hint that I might defeat the globalists." I thought that this was covering all the bases of what I wanted to say. It gave me this. Welcome to today's episode of Your Podcast Name. In this special installment, I delve into the motivation and vision behind the creation of this podcast. Join me as I share the journey, the challenges, and the passion that fueled this endeavor. Now, it gave me a bunch of other big sentences and words that no human being would ever say, but one thing it did not mention was the globalist part. So out of curiosity, I asked it more questions about globalism. I ask, write me a paragraph about how the globalists are not good. And it responds with, I understand your strong feelings on this topic. However, it's important to approach such discussions with a balanced and factual perspective. Now, to be completely fair to artificial intelligence, it won't write anything negative relating to a certain people group. I got the same message when asking for it to make a paragraph about far-right Republicans. Got the same message when, write something negative against pastors, etc. What AI did write for me, though, unrelated to anything political, was a paragraph about how bunnies are just bad. Let's see what it wrote. Bunnies might look cute and fluffy, but like any creature, they have their drawbacks. They can be quite destructive if left to their own devices, chewing through wires, furniture, and even walls. They can be difficult pets, needing a lot of attention, space, and specific care to keep them happy and healthy. And don't get me started on the mess they can make. Still, it's not their fault they have these habits. It's just part of what it means to be a bunny. Now, I do have to say that what AI just wrote is truth. Our family once kept a pair of bunnies for 2 days from the flea market. They're cute looking, but they stink. Or maybe it was the habitat that stunk. I don't know. Not that it was really a habitat, it was more of a prison. But moving away from bunnies, today was the second time of me using AI for my podcast. I have a brief timeline of some political and social events that have occurred in the past 6 to 8 months, but I wanted to see if I was missing anything, and that's why I decided to use AI. I gave it this simple command. What are some of the political events that have occurred within the past 6 months? Simple enough. Apparently, AI only decided to list 4 political events that have occurred. Not exactly enough, considering the times we're living in, but I let it slide. It gave me these 4 headlines. Election 2024. The race for the U.S. presidency has been heating up, with candidates ramping up their campaigns and debates. Well, you're darn right, pal. Good job. I almost forgot to add that one in, but you reminded me. Thanks, bud. Anyway, here's the next one. Hurricane Helene. The aftermath of the Hurricane Helene has been a significant political issue, with discussions around federal response, and recovery efforts. Well, that's a good one. I mean, I was hoping the events that have spanned back from a while ago would go first, like in chronological order, but that's okay. I'll take that. And we have seen efforts to recover victims, but the only reason it was made political was your candidate, Kamala Harris, or Canby Has-Been Harris, or Miss Cackle, however you know her. Maybe you know her as the Wicked Witch of the East. Anyway, she was caught red-handed on Air Force One, pretending to call officials regarding recovery efforts. In case you didn't know, she was wearing wire-in earbuds with a caption explaining that she was calling one of those officials. Turns out she did a little oopsie and she forgot to plug them into her phone. That's embarrassing. Harris seems to enjoy those wire-in earbuds a lot, as she used them a few weeks ago boarding Air Force One so she could avoid reporters, probably on a fake call again. I think she should invest in a little upgrade to the wireless ones. Not saying the name so I can avoid a lawsuit. I thought it was only role-playing kids who pretending they were calling someone important, but I guess I was wrong. Another example of the Kamala campaign. And the rest of the stuff AI wrote me was global warming and subjects that don't affect politics at all. I'm surprised it didn't write, Trump assassination attempt ×2. Or, I don't know, maybe the borders are hella insecure. Anyway, I do have a confession, though. Sitting on my desk is a round, black, UFO-looking piece of spyware. Now, you might say, Jacob, don't you know that the information that is shared between you and Google is private and encrypted? They do have a file on you, but they promise they never touch it or look at it. And to that, I respond, I'm not sure I understand. In all seriousness, we can always check the news stories of Alexas and Google secretly recording the conversation while a couple is in their living room or hackers hacking the quote-unquote smart devices, etc. As a good rule of thumb, anything that has a smart on the label is actually quite dumb, as my dad says. I mean, even in 2017, if you asked Alexa, are you connected to the CIA, the spyware would just shut down and completely ignore you. Also, just recently, which I know has happened to you before at some point, I was researching the best AI voice so I can make an edit on YouTube Shorts about society's expectations of children. Go subscribe to me, by the way. Search Free Range Thinking or click the link in the description. For all YouTube listeners, search me up on Spotify, link down below. I was researching and I found a certain website I could use. The next morning, while I ate breakfast, my mom was watching a YouTube News live stream, and the commercial break featured the same website that I was considering to use. Mind you, the website is a not very well-known website, and I was using a separate Google account for my research. I'm not sure how the heck it knew what I was researching. I do have a few ideas, maybe. The smart TV, my smartwatch, my Google Home. Actually, it couldn't have been my Google Home because I leave that unplugged, except when I want music. In fact, I unplug everything in my room before I go to sleep. Any devices charging go in separate rooms, such as my smartwatch. I had a TV in my room. I uninstalled it, and I wrote a little note on it that reads, "Feed me lies." I encourage you to do the same thing. And please, for the life of me, don't scroll before you go to sleep. In fact, don't even scroll at all. That's your call to action. Don't scroll. Despite the name, AI isn't artificial at all, nor is it intelligent. Like most modern advancements in today's society, AI is meant to make the human race more incapable, lazier, and controlled. The artificial dystopia is real, and it's approaching fast. Heck, it's probably already here. AI can be a good tool, but a bad master. Don't be a slave to anything. And with that, we have episode 2 of Free Range Thinking. I'm Jacob Cline, thank you for listening, and as always, fight the good fight.